Boris Johnson there. Now, smokers and overweight patients have become soft targets for NHS cutbacks. That's according to a report by the Royal College of Surgeons. The report said that more than a third of clinical commissioning groups in England are now contravening national guidance by denying or delaying routine surgery such as knee and hip replacements until the patient actually loses weight or stops smoking.
From the patient's point of view, that is really unacceptable, because we know that the longer patients wait for surgery, once it's been deemed appropriate for them to have that surgery, in the long run, the more they cost the service overall, the more likely they are to have need for care arrangements, and sadly, the less likely they are to have really good or excellent outcomes.
So, should smokers and obese people be refused surgery? Well, I'm joined from central London by Dr. Omar Khan, a stomach and intestine surgeon and fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons, and also by Jonathan Isaby, the chief executive at the Taxpayers Alliance, who actually lost 8 stone himself without surgery. Very good morning to both of you. Dr. Khan, let me start with you. This is your job. You do this day in, day out. You'll see clinically obese people. That's what you do. Actually, sometimes the tough choices have to be made. Should you refuse people sometimes and say, go and do it yourself? It's a waste of NHS vital resources.
Well, I think that's a little bit harsh. I mean, I think the idea of losing weight before surgery is a good one for the patient. But what I am concerned about, I think what the Royal College document is concerned about, is it's being used as a sort of rationing tool by stealth. It is a good idea for patients to lose weight before surgery for their own health, but we shouldn't use that as a sort of health economic argument to prevent people getting the surgery they need.
Jonathan Isaby, what do you think? It's not a health economic argument. Actually, people need this surgery for their own well-being, and they could end up being more of a drain on NHS resources if they don't have it.
I think often there's going to be a clinical case for having people lose weight before surgery, because the surgery is more likely to be successful if they do. Indeed, sometimes it will be dangerous for the operation to go ahead if they haven't lost weight before the surgery takes place. So that's important to bear in mind. I think these decisions all need to be taken on a case-by-case basis. I don't think it's a very sensible idea to suggest there should be any kind of blanket rule, kind of one-size-fits-all, because each patient, each case is going to be different. But I think there does fit into this debate a far wider question about how healthcare is funded in this country. Because I think a lot of people who live very healthy lifestyles will probably resent the idea that their taxes are paying for treatment for people who perhaps make very unwise choices about their own health. And there's absolutely no link in this country between the choices that people make about their health and what they pay for the treatment that may be required as a result.
Dr. Khan, there has to be an element of personal responsibility here, doesn't there? If somebody is a persistent heavy smoker and they have a lung disease or they have associated problems with it, doesn't the NHS have a right to demand that they stop before they receive treatment, which could end up being a waste of money if they continue?
Well, I think you've got to ask the counter-argument. If you've got someone who needs surgery and you're not giving it to them because they are continuing to be overweight or continuing to smoke, what do you do with them? Because the NHS still has to pick up the bill for them if you don't offer them surgery. And most of the surgical interventions we're talking about are actually very cost-effective. For example, I do weight loss surgery, and that actually saves money in the longer term. So by depriving people of operations they need, you're actually going to cost more. So from a purely health economics argument, there is an argument for saying we should actually be going ahead.
Jonathan Isaby, I made the point in the introduction that you lost 8 stone on your own. It's a huge amount of weight, so congratulations to you for doing that. But did you ever feel that actually if you didn't do that, you were going to be a drain on the NHS? Did that come into it, or was it just about personal health reasons?
I think that did come into it. I've always been a great believer in personal responsibility, and I took the view that I needed to get myself in decent shape. For my own health, for the sake of my family, and as you say, because the healthcare system we have in this country at the moment sees everybody paying for the treatment of everybody else, regardless of their own behaviour. And I, just over a year ago, I joined Slimming World. That was the measure that I took. I found their plan extremely empowering, enabled me to make the right and sensible choices about what I eat, and then factor a lot of exercise into my daily routine. I made that decision myself. I took personal responsibility. I think others need to do that. But I think we do have this remaining problem that so long as the healthcare system is funded by this socialised method no, there isn't an incentive for anyone to take personal responsibility because the notion is, oh, it'll all be provided, someone else is going to pay for it. Well, that someone else is the rest of us, the rest of us taxpayers.
Dr. Khan, do you meet people who have that attitude? They think, well, I'm not going to take personal responsibility for my own weight loss. The NHS can pick up the pieces, and so be it. That's what it's there for.
I think that's relatively rare. I think the reality is, yes, we want people to take control of their own lives, but we have to give them the support. I mean, I think one of the things that this report has highlighted is you have situations where people are saying, you need to lose 5 stone before we give you an operation, and that's the end of that. We need to give them some support with that. So I think there should be more of an integrated plan in which we say, you need to lose weight, or you need to stop smoking, we're going to help you, we're going to get you into Quick Club, we're going to try and, as Jonathan was saying, enroll in Slimming World, do some exercise. So I think we have to help people to make positive decisions about their own lifestyles, because at the end of the day, people are responsible for their health, and I think most people, as a general rule, are keen to have healthy interventions in life. They just need the support.
Jonathan Isaby, there's a problem here, isn't there, that if you start making clinical decisions about whether to treat people based on lifestyle choices, then where does it end? For example, someone gets skin cancer because they've been in the sun too much. You say, well, tough luck, it's your own problem. You caused it, so we're not going to treat you. I mean, that's slightly a facetious example, but other people make that argument, won't they?
I think people will make that argument. People may say, you know, if you decide to indulge, if you go skiing or go get involved in sports which have high risks of injury that are more likely to end up needing treatment, then, you know, why should other taxpayers be picking up the bill for that? You know, in the same way, any of us who drive a car and have car insurance, if we've got a poor record in terms of having accidents and so on, we have to pay a higher premium on our car insurance. Nobody has ever suggested that that shouldn't be the case. So I don't know why there shouldn't be a similar thinking about the way that healthcare is funded. If the actions of individuals do put them at greater risk, then frankly, why should they not have to be contributing themselves rather than expecting the rest of us to pick up the bill?
Dr. Khan, cynics would say, well, you're a stomach bariatric surgeon. It's in your interest to keep the patients rolling in. It keeps you in a job. But actually, you know, the argument could go, as Jonathan has said, the NHS is greatly under strain. Cuts need to be made. How should decisions be made if it isn't on a basis such as this, such as people's lifestyle choices and where it ends, where they end up with those choices?
Well, I mean, speaking as a surgeon, I have plenty of other work, so I'm sure if weight loss surgery dried up, I'm sure we'd have enough work to do. But I think it is more general that if we have a system of socialised medicine, as we have in the NHS, and we have agreed that we are going to go from cradle to grave, we do have to have a general responsibility for all of our patients, irrespective of their lifestyle choices. We would very much strongly encourage people to make healthy choices, but if they don't, we still have the responsibility to look after them. And actually, some of the surgical interventions we're talking about, weight loss surgery, knee replacements, actually are very cost effective. So the question is not so much if someone refuses to engage, do we cut them off? Well, we can't, because we're responsible for their medical care throughout.
Okay, Dr. Khan, Jonathan, it's been good to talk to you today. Thank you.
Thanks.